Hello and welcome to this episode of the Reset Podcast. I'm your host, Laura Mignot. This is part of my 29 Days of Magic series. I am beyond delighted to have Makeda Mays Green, who's the SVP of Cultural and Digital Consumer Insights at Nickelodeon. We're going to have an amazing conversation. I can't wait for you to take a listen. Hey, Makeda, how are you?
Hi, Laura. Great to be here. Thanks so much for having me.
I am super delighted to have you on the podcast. I'm sure you're going to have lots of great stories to share. And so let's just jump right in. So, first question, always the same. Answers always hilarious. I'm sure yours will be too. So, Nikita, what was your first job?
I have a very interesting first job. My first job was actually at Sesame Street, which was, of course, a dream come true for me because, I grew up singing this song, Can You Tell Me How to Get to Sesame Street? And the fact that I actually found my way there, the most infamous street in the world, was pretty remarkable.
Okay, so what was your first job at Sesame Street? I have to know this now.
Really interesting journey. I actually began my career at Sesame Street as an intern. So I strongly advise anyone who's interested in any career, look into internships. They are a great pathway into identifying and more fully being able to manifest your career aspirations. And I began as a researcher on the content research team. So my job was to go into schools, into daycare centers, and we would wheel in a huge TV, Laura, at that time, and we would watch kids, one of the old school TVs on a cart with a VCR. And we would watch kids watch Sesame Street, and we would code their reactions. So are they laughing? Are they smiling? Are they turning away from the screen? Are they singing along? Are they answering questions? And we would also then interview the kids post the show to get a better sense of their comprehension. I have to honestly tell you that I remember as an intern, I would tell the people who work there, like, wait a minute, you get paid to do this? That you get paid? Oh my goodness. And I knew from there that a career in media is exactly what I wanted to do.
Wow. Talk about knowing what you wanted and going out and finding it. So, okay, so you go from being the intern at Sesame Street to where you are now. What has that journey been like?
It's been nothing short of incredible. Sometimes I look back and it's never lost to me where I started and where I am currently. So I did the internship for 6 months, and then I was offered an opportunity to freelance. After 6 months of a freelance position, a full-time position opened as a content researcher there. And of course, I applied for it and got the job. And I remember very vividly that day, I was sitting in my dorm room in New York. I was in graduate school at the time. And I received a call with the offer. And really, before they could fully get the offer out of their mouths, my answer was yes. And they're like, I remember the HR person like, don't you want to know how much it pays? And I'm like, oh, yeah, that too. Yeah, that too. But it was really incredible. So I ended up spending 12 years there at Sesame Street. And during that period, I learned so much. I began with a team that was going out, as I mentioned, into the field and conducting research. I remember we did research on magazines at that time, 321 Contact. And then I began working on a show called Dragon Tales, which was about two kids, Max and Emmy, and they would go to this magical land, and it had a strong social and emotional message there. Moved into outreach and advanced efforts around literacy and mathematics and STEM/STEAM. And then a friend of mine, who was also a colleague at the time, Jordana Jarrell, said, you've been helping us out so much on the digital front, making these games, giving feedback. You might want to consider doing digital research full time. And, that was many years ago. And I was like, I don't really know about this digital thing. Not sure if it's here to stay. Oh my gosh. Looking back, I'm like, what was I thinking? It was actually the best decision that I ever made. So I moved into digital research and became the director of educational research at Sesame Workshop for digital media. And the journey just continued from there. And eventually, I done so much at Sesame, I decided that it was important for me to see more of the industry. And I spread my wings and went over to Nickelodeon. And I have to tell you, that was a pretty hard decision because I spent 12 years at Sesame. And in many ways, it's where I grew up. I watched that show as a young child. I watched it as a teenager. I watched it as a young adult. And even when I was there, it's where I got married. It's where I had my first child. It's when I graduated from graduate school. So my Sesame family has been my forever family. But I've been really, really blessed and fortunate to go to Nickelodeon, and I have now an even bigger family, and I adore every single one of my colleagues.
Wow. So, how does one do the job of being the head of cultural insights at Nickelodeon? Because obviously, you're helping to shape the minds of the young little munchkins. And what does that actually look like on a day-to-day basis?
You know, one of the great things about this job, this position, and this organization is that no 2 days have ever been the same. Some days you're working with kids and talking about augmented reality, and the next day you're talking to kids about what they're watching on YouTube and getting a sense of that, keeping your finger on the pulse of what's happening with kids and families. And then at the same time, you're also conducting research related to identity. And this moment in my career has actually brought me to a point where I feel most proud of anything I have ever done. We did a project launched back in 2019 called Shades of Us, a study of race, identity, and the American family. And that was comprised of over 15,000 kids and families around the country talking about identity, perceptions of others. And we even got into topics, the difficult topic of bias and racial discrimination. Understanding more deeply the impact that the media industry has, the power that it has to influence the minds of the masses, has really underscored for me the fact that this position is really one not just of great opportunity, but of great responsibility. And that's something that I take seriously every single day. Someone asked me recently, what is your goal? What do you want to come from all of this? And I said, it sounds lofty, and perhaps it is, but stated quite simply, it's to inspire content creators to help all people value all people. And that's why we do the work that we do.
I love that. And I'm sure you probably have gone through all kinds of challenges in your career. Talk to me about a time when you're like, there's no way I'm getting through this. And then you did.
Oh boy. Wow, that's such a great question. And there are probably several examples that I can cite from that. I think it actually goes back to the very beginning of my career, because it was a difficult time. I was finishing graduate school. I was living in New York City, working at Sesame at the same time, making sure that I was doing my schoolwork and getting into the field, because I studied psychology. And so I would have to travel to Brooklyn a couple of times a week to work with mentally ill chemical abusers. And it was a challenging period. I mean, not there was the emotional stress that I often felt. And I consider myself a very empathic person. And so it was often hard for me to hear stories from others about different challenges they were facing and not bring that home with me, because I would worry about my clients when I wasn't with them, and trying to juggle a personal life alongside the professional aspirations was really tough. And there were nights where I felt like, am I making the right decision? You know, should I be doing something else? Should I just rethink this career path and not give up per se, but shift to make what I thought would make things easier. There was a huge lesson for me in all of that, in perseverance, because I truly believe that when you have a calling, you're going to keep on hearing that calling until you answer. And I knew ever since I was a very, very young child that I loved media. I just loved media. And it's holding on to that love, holding on to that passion, holding on to that purpose that essentially prevented me from giving up even when times became difficult, you know, financially and emotionally.
Yeah, no, I've been there, and it's like it's so hard to like not be able to carry all that with you home and into your regular life because like you feel it every single day. You're like, oh God, and like
Mm-hmm.
separating the two is so challenging because it's like you're human, so you feel it, and you know, similarly, I'm a bit of an empath too, which is why oftentimes when folks will say like, well, Laura, you know, you'd be a really great coach because you I give great advice and blah blah blah. And I'm like, no. And you know why? Because I know where my boundaries are, and I have to set those boundaries.
Mm.
Like
Mm.
it's like I will never be a coach because I can't be responsible for your one-on-one universe. I have a coach, and the amount of stuff I dump on him, and I'm like, I can't imagine what that feels like. But I am paying you, so there you go. I don't feel
Yes,
that
yes.
bad.
Well, Laura, that I think you're raising such a great point too about being able to have a support system, being able to lean into your network, right? Because it's really as I've grown as an individual, as I've grown as a career professional, I realized that so often people talk about like, you know, network, but really I've really come to understand that my net worth is not necessarily defined by any one person or defined by like the role that accompanies my name. It's really about making sure that at the end of the day, I'm tapping into purpose to be able to help others achieve their goals. And if I can't do that, then to me I haven't done what I'm supposed to do, you know? And I work really hard to try to keep myself grounded in purpose driven work and meaningful work because I come from a big family. My parents only had two kids, right? But they both come from big families. My mother's parents had four boys, four girls. My dad has many siblings, like over a dozen siblings. um,
Ah,
and so there's this weight that I often have carried where, you know, I've often felt like families looking to me to make sure that like, oh, Makeda, you're doing so well. Like, and I was doing well, but at the same time, the pressure to not fall can
uh-huh.
sometimes
Super
become
high.
overwhelming, right? Yeah. And so it goes back to what you were saying, learning where you need those additional support mechanisms, when you need to reach out, when you just need to set that boundary and just saying like, no, I can't. No, like no is such a powerful word.
No,
It's such
no
a
is a
powerful word.
sentence.
Yes, a full stop,
Full
right? A
sentence.
complete
Nothing
sentence.
more,
Yes.
beginning, middle, and end. And I find that like I say no a lot more now, and I'm a lot happier. And so
Mm.
I oftentimes tell everyone, folks who wherever they might be in their career, whether they're becoming an entrepreneur or going back into corporate or just trying to navigate their way through whatever their career might be, remember that no is a sentence.
Yes.
And accept that you have to have boundaries. And I think especially as Black women, we all think that we have to be Superwoman. And so I like
Right.
to remind people, we are not from Krypton. So
Yes.
therefore, we are not
Yes.
superwomen. Like,
Yes.
we are,
Yes.
we are from Earth. We are from Earth, y'all. So, like, like that dude who is Superman and Superwoman come from Krypton. They did not
Right.
come from Earth.
Right.
So,
Right.
like, it makes no sense to do that to ourselves because, like, we can do amazing things. And, like, part of the reason that I continue to do this series and I love doing this series is because the people who just show up in my universe who become my 29 Days women are all phenomenal. And it's all different walks of life, it's all levels. And I want people to understand the importance of, like, everyone has a unique path, but
Hmm.
everyone innately is awesome and has a
That's
story
right.
that you can learn from. Like, that's what this is all about. But also the things you should be hearing are like importance of boundaries and understanding that, like, you don't have to do it all by yourself. Also, there are
Right.
many ways to figure out what that path is, and there is no defined way of, like, you must do this, otherwise forget it. Like,
No, it's
no.
so true. Yes, it is so true. It is so true. And even as you're talking about that, it makes me think about my team. And my current team, we have such diverse walks of life. And I think in any job, but especially in this position, it's so helpful because we often look at things through the lens of our lived experience, right? And having everyone have the same lens at the end of the day isn't really so helpful. But when people can come at different situations and look at different topics or different problems and think about how we can solve them using a variety of approaches that speak not just to one but to many and ideally to all, then we've really begun to make good progress. And so I think that diversity of thought, that diversity of team makeup, that diversity of topics to explore, like every day, I think we as a collective are challenged to think about what can we do better, right? And it's never about the me, it's always about the we, and respecting each person's unique gifts, because you're right, we are all born with unique gifts and talents, and if we can harness those, that's where I think that true joy comes from.
It really is. And, I similarly have a really diverse team, and you'll probably see a LinkedIn post about it later on this week. Where it's like, I looked at the photo and it made me, and one, it made me really happy. But
Hmm.
two, I was so proud of my team because, like, it is so uniquely diverse. It from every bucket you can imagine, and they all just click, which is
Mm.
rare because some
Yes.
people I inherited, some people I hired, some folks were folks I knew who I brought in, and the fact that they all just were like, okay, let's do this. Nobody left, and everybody was like, I'm just going to go in and we're going to be this team. And I think
Right.
that one is it's a testament to the great work that we do. It's a testament to obviously my leadership, but it's also like it makes you it's a testament to the people that are on your team because, like, they're supporting each other, they're doing what they need to do, and when they need help, they're raising their hand.
That's
And,
right.
as a leader, that's the one thing that you can only ever want is that, like, folks feel comfortable and open to do that and make sure that they have and put their best selves forward.
Exactly. Exactly. Feel valued and knowing that they can come and bring their whole selves to work, and knowing that at the end of the day, we all have each other's back. That is a really great feeling. Now that being said, I have friends who have been in or in current situations where they're like, "Oh my gosh, get me out of this job." Like, I fortunately I have never felt that from day one, and I think it's because I've always tried to be mindful of the why, right? Why are you doing this work? Why are you choosing to work for a specific organization? Why are you even choosing to spend your time in a specific department. The why is so critical. And I think that's even more critical than the what, because the why can actually drive the what, right? But if you don't ground yourself in a strong foundation in understanding why you're doing something, then that's where I think we get lost in, areas of confusion. We might begin to feel down. We might begin to question our worth. But when you know your why and you can hold fast to that, it makes everything better. It makes everything better. And one of the things that I have, I tell my husband this. I've been telling him this for years, and he's like, "You're actually thinking about that." I'm like, "Oh, say that again. I was right." He's like, "Yeah, you were right." But I really believe that as we think about what we want to do in life and why we want to do it, and I try to impress this upon my kids as well, it is less about making a dollar and more about making a difference. Not to say that income isn't important, because I do believe that it is, but I try to have my choices be informed by how I'm going to make a difference. Because if it were about the dollar, like, I'd always be running. You could always run to the next place. Oh, this place offers more money. This place offers more money. This place, you can always be running. But when you're grounded in making a difference, that helps underscore your why. And believe me, I found this to be true. The money will then follow. It will come.
It absolutely will. It absolutely will. And that takes me to an interesting question. Thinking of where you are right now and centered and grounded, what do you think you'd tell 18-year-old Makeda?
Oh, that is an excellent question. I would tell 18-year-old Makeda to own your seat at the table because you've earned it. That is something I wish I knew back then. There were times where I would sit at a table in my school environment, sometimes in my professional environments, and feeling like, oh my gosh, I do have something to say, but what if it's not good enough? Oh no, let me make sure that everyone else says their piece first, and then before you know it, the meeting's over, and then you haven't said anything. But knowing that you're here for a reason, and I don't really believe in coincidence. I feel like everything happens for a reason, and so the opportunity to sit at tables, and I've just been so blessed to sit with people who are brilliant, and learn from them and listen to them. But now I am more comfortable owning my seat at the table and understanding that when I do have something to share, open my voice, open my mouth and say it, use my voice to make a difference.
I love that. I really love that. And owning your voice, I think, is the most important part of all of that. It's your voice. It's all
yes,
Just do it.
Right. And it's that opportunity to shift the negative self-talk, right? Because there are enough people out there who are going to not support you in life. There are enough people who are going to try to put you down, but we don't need to do that to ourselves. And so shifting how we speak to ourselves, that still small voice that is with you every day from the moment you wake up until the moment you go to sleep, it can inform and affect whether you're going to have a bad day or a great day, and I prefer to try to have great days. Not that being said, of course there are some days where there are challenges, and some days are more challenging than others, but always trying to be cognizant of how I can reframe and react, because you can't always control what others will do, but you can control how you react to those situations and how you think not only about what has happened, but how you think about yourself and how you show up, and continuing to challenge myself to make sure that I am hopefully doing the right thing to be able to advance not only the work that I do, but also to make a meaningful difference in the lives of others along the way. That's my goal.
Absolutely love it. I love it. Okay, so you're doing all this amazing work. You're just delightfully wonderful. What does Makeda do for Makeda? What do you do for your self-care?
I love to go to the gym. The gym is really my happy place. I start each day in prayer, and that helps to ground me. And then I work really hard, and my reward is my gym time. It's my me time. It's the time where I can just go and relax and reflect and build up those endorphins and build up that muscle. But I love the gym. Like classes, cardio, kickboxing classes, give me a good HIIT class. I mean, I am all in. I absolutely love to work out. Yes.
I love it. I hate to work out, which is terrible. It's crazy because I love sports, and I don't know, like it's really hard. I can focus and do anything. It is really hard for me to focus and work out, and I have to like either have a goal to do something, or I need someone yelling at me.
Yelling!
Like, so I need like a male trainer to yell at me, because like that's really what the only thing that works.
Oh my goodness, Laura, you should come to a dance class with me, because you won't even realize you're working out. It'll be so much fun. The music is popping, you're moving.
Okay, I'm down. I will take all invites. Okay, what kind of dancing is this?
So it varies. I in the past have taken some Zumba classes, but now I take classes with I do cardio dance. That's one, and then I take classes with a really great friend of mine, Billy Blanks Jr., and he does a mix. So you never know what you're going to get. Like this weekend, we did a medley of Broadway songs, and I was like, you couldn't tell me I wasn't on Broadway. I mean,
you were Fanny Opera, and you were doing those moves. You were in Rent. Gotcha. Okay.
Yes. So from that to hip hop, we just keep it going. So
okay.
If you're in the area, let me know.
We'll discuss. We're going to discuss post conversation. Because I'm always open to trying new things. I'm gonna start Pilates soon. Like I hurt my back, and so like I have to take a little bit of caution about working out. But I also am like I'm still COVID fluffy, which is not cute. So I need to like figure out ways to lose fine weight. So I'm on it. I will pay attention.
Okay.
Last question for you. What would you have a give and or an ask of the audience?
My ask of the audience is that each day allow your passion to fuel you. Know that if you're able to be driven by that innate desire to give to others, the things that will be returned to you are beyond your wildest imagination. Wow. I would also, please, I would just say hold that in, and then I would just add check out all the great things you're doing in Nickelodeon.
I love the plug.
Doing a lot of great things.
Amazing, awesome. Makeda, you have been so amazing. Thank you so very much. We'll put all the details in the show notes. You should definitely check out what's happening on Nickelodeon, and you, because you're a wonderful, amazing. And thank you so much for being part of 29 Days of Magic.
Thank you so much. Such a pleasure. Thank you for all that you're doing for everyone who's listening. And I just admire your work so much, and I'm just honored to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And that is our show.